But if you're like a very niche of a niche comedian that talks about your vagina a lot, like, I don't think people would actually know you, even if you pop up in televisions, man.
Amy Schumer places first on literally every single list titled Worst or Most Hated Comedians of All Time. Why? Well, the countless different reasons for it become most interesting when you realize that toward the beginning of her
What do you guys know about Amy Schumer, though? Before the video actually starts, what do you guys know about Amy Schumer? The only thing I know about Amy Schumer is that she jokes about her vagina and shit. She's not even funny. Like, that's the thing. That's the only thing I know about her. Like, literally, that's the thing. It's like basically having diversity and shit pushed down your throat, and you're supposed to like it. It's like a dick, man. It's not something. It's good to have. It's good to show, but you don't shove it down your throat or some people's other throat. In my opinion, at least. And for me, it's like Amy Schumer's comedy is like, it's pretty stale, man. She makes jokes about her her weight and her vagina and shit, and like, sexual stuff. So I don't know. I don't really like that. And I've also heard stuff that she has been like stealing and recycling jokes, which is pretty bad. But that's my opinion, Amy Schumer. Like, I guess I just feel like she's getting forced down your throat by the mainstream media. Good thing we have internet now, which at least gives the power to the people. Like, if they don't like that stuff, they're not gonna watch it. Which, less views, less monetization. So that's what I think. What do you guys think about Amy Schumer? Let me know.
Liked and respected amongst the general population. For example, she was listed in Time's top 100 most influential people of 2015, whilst her comedy specials such as this one, and this one received mostly positive reviews, one of which confidently stating that Amy Schumer leaves her audience in stitches. However, while this review was mostly positive, if we go back a couple of sentences, it also points out the first reason as to why Amy Schumer would eventually become so hated. It's easy to label Amy Schumer a one-trick pony, as the title of her special suggests. She talks about sex and she doesn't talk about much else.
Okay, so maybe she's good in sex. She specializes in it.
Vagina smells and or how many guys she's blown.
True.
That's not comedy. This was a comment on a thread discussing why her style was so controversial. The thread including another supporting comment which stated, "You can call her a one-trick pony or two-trick, which are 1. Here is my vagina. Want a detailed description? You will have it anyway. 2.
Jesus Christ, that's disgusting, man. I don't want to see that. I don't want to hear that shit.
Manipulate them in every way." With these two comments in mind, it becomes obvious that
here's the thing about comedy, in my opinion, is that in comedy you can joke about anything and everything. Okay, if you're gonna joke about everything and anything, as long as it's in the context of brightening someone's day up or just making it more of a known issue, then yes, definitely. But joking about how your vagina smells and how much a guy you gave blowjobs to is I guess funny at the one point, maybe, I don't know, but it's not something that you reuse a lot. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just wouldn't count it as funny. But who knows? I'm the type of guy who laughs at like people getting hurt. So
not only does Amy Schumer have little diversity in terms of what topics she jokes about, but her narrow style of joking about her own female anatomy in an unflattering way, whilst constantly joking about men in a derogatory way, is simply going to make her unappealing.
Yeah, I kind of hate those comedy where they talk down to us guys.
You can only have so much self-deprecating humor before people get tired of it. How much do I need to hear about her pussy? Certainly not the entire length of her stand-up show.
True, I agree.
Sure. The very nature of this kind of content, such as the discussion of female promiscuity,
well, she got to Ellen?
leaves Amy Schumer open to political backlash and debate. This is the next thing that began to turn the audience against her back in 2016. Politics. One article written by CBS News stated around 200 people walked
You don't really
out
do
of the
politics,
show
man.
when Schumer
You don't really do
launched
politics. The moment you do politics, that's a GG.
It's somewhat of a surprise that fans were caught off guard because Schumer isn't known for suppressing her political views. In addition to this, Amy Schumer would announce that she was pregnant by posting a list of the people she had voted for, adding at the bottom, "I'm pregnant Amy Schumer," using her pregnancy to drive traffic to the candidates which she considered to be favorable.
Okay, that's kind of scummy, but it's your right.
Was very anti-Republican, even having interviewed Hillary Clinton, yet her audience would come to discover that back in 2007, Amy Schumer actually got her first big break as a guest on Fox News, which was a pro-Republican news station, angering both sides of the political spectrum.
Because like, in my opinion, like, here's the thing, okay? Like, people enjoy content, that is true, but when you start putting politics into it that divides people just don't want that shit. Like, for example, like, every time we do a reaction stream and we talk about politics we start diverging into politics, and what happens is that I know that you guys, you guys don't chat anymore, you guys don't type anymore because you guys don't want to talk about it. And some of you guys would actually say that you guys don't want politics in the stream because life is already very political in nature. You guys don't want that here. And that goes to other video content too, or other forms of entertainment. People just don't want politics in their medium of entertainment. Like in Amy Schumer's case, like I get it, she's a comedian, she does that stuff, but the thing is, if you take a political I guess a political stand from a comedian, it doesn't really bode well unless you're fighting for actual something without like giving derogatory terms to the other party. If you're like logically explaining your position, with intellect and with finesse, then yeah, sure, we don't really care. But to the end of it, like, we don't really want to know your opinion about it because you're not really meant to give your political opinion. You're just, supposed to make things happier for us, make things better for us by letting us forget all those political disruptions by, making us laugh, because you are a comedian, you're an entertainer by nature. So putting politics in these kind of situations does actually have a huge backlash on whatever you're doing. And the thing is, like, it works in everywhere, like small time streamers, big time streamers, TV shows, and etc. Like, people just don't like it because they feel, again, it's like a dick, man. Politics is like a dick. It's good to show, it's good to have, but like, it's not really something that you force down other people's throat, man. Like, it's what I would say, at least.
Me going public with her political opinions meant that she had now alienated another 50% of the already small audience
I
who
agree.
might still be interested in her style of comedy. Additionally, whenever Amy Schumer was criticized for the comedy itself, she'd use politics as an easy way out by simply blaming the criticism on the alt-right, as highlighted in another comment which stated, worst of all, when her audience gives her honest feedback, she whines about how her critics must hate women or how they're all alt-right.
Oh my God,
sure, Amy,
really?
The only reason people hate you is that they're all a bunch of Nazi anti-Semitic misogynists. This comment also highlighted the next reason as to why Amy Schumer became so hated, and that's her lack of personal responsibility and victim complex, which is sometimes even mixed with a hint of entitlement and the contrary attitude that she's better than everyone else. For example, in late 2015, an article was published by Page 6 titled, Amy Schumer thinks she's too famous to check in at the gym, which read, Amy Schumer was not happy this week when staffers at the Upper West Side Equinox asked her to present her membership card, which is standard practice at the upscale fitness club. She felt entitled to just walk in, a source explained to Page 6. She didn't want to show her key fob and wanted to be able to go in and not be questioned. We're told the annoyed trainwreck star declared, I'm famous, when employees didn't recognize her and insisted she go through the typical check-in procedure. While Equinox believes she
that's kind of stupid though. Like, where is this self-entitlement coming from?
She stormed off.
Where is this self-entitlement coming from? Like, okay, if why do you feel so self-entitled? Like, if you're someone like Mr. Beast, like, yeah, sure, like, dude, yeah, go ahead. If you're someone like Linus Tech Tips, yeah, sure, go ahead. If you're someone like Post Malone, or like, if you're kind of these big figures, then yes, I get it. But if you're like a very niche comedian that talks about your vagina a lot, like, I don't think people would actually know you, even if you pop up in televisions, man. Like, why? Where's this form of self-entitlement coming from? I do not really understand this, bro.
Different articles sporting similar.
Oh, thanks for the follow, it's Gummy. Thank you for that. Appreciate that, my dude.
Photos with fans, which stated Amy Schumer wants to make it clear she does not owe you a selfie. The article went on to describe an exchange that Amy Schumer had.
Holy shit! She doesn't have a dick, but she's a dick, bro.
Family just ran up next to me and scared.
She doesn't have a dick, but she's a definite dick, bro.
And he said, "No, it's America, and we paid for you." This was in front of his daughter.
Okay.
I was saying stop and no. Great message to your kid. Yes, legally you're allowed to take a picture of me, but I was asking you to stop and say no. I will not take pictures with people anymore.
We paid for you. Holy hell. Kind of racist if you ask me.
The other person involved was then interviewed by a local news station. A whole different side to the story was revealed.
But he tells us that's not exactly how it went according to him.
I see her face and I'm like, all right, cool. So I hurry up and get on my Instagram and I'm like, there goes Amy, and then she just loses it and she just gets mad, and that is totally false what she wrote about me.
So if Amy Schumer was too famous to check into her local gym or take photos with fans, she must have thought pretty highly of herself.
That's
if that's truly the case.
The self-entitlement is just oozing, man. Like, Jesus Christ, what the
Netflix
fuck?
for one of her comedy specials a year later in 2017, right?
I mean, like, what's the best thing that could be done is that when people like swarm you for selfies, it just look at Tyler 1 and TwitchCon. Like, when Tyler 1 came on TwitchCon, like the TwitchCons before, okay, not the new one. was that he would always make it the point that when people come to him, he would always smile and like, you know, take pictures with them. Like how you treat individual people will skyrocket into the internet, because everybody knows that these one-on-one interactions are the legitimate ones of your expression and of your character. So even if you're gonna fake it, at least do it in front of the camera or in front of those selfies in front of the videos, because in the long term, it's gonna be beneficial for you as a person and for your publicity. Think of your marketing. Think of the potential clicks and views that you'll get, the monetization too. So if you're just being a dick just because you think of yourself as high and mighty, like, I don't know, man, that's kind of bad. You're gonna come crashing down sooner or later.
Schumer claimed that the
good thing I'm a VTuber though, so you guys can really take
money
pictures
for
of me.
60 minutes of comedy footage, citing it as unfair
It's gonna be
due to
weird.
Chris
Holy
Rock and
shit.
Dave Chappelle
You guys get to take pictures of a
specials.
cardboard
Now this
cutout, so
argument
that's
would be
pretty cool.
perfectly fine, assuming all three comedy specials were of similar quality, only they most certainly weren't.
Okay.
Amy's comedy special, the one that she was paid $11 million for, was so bad that IMDb users gave it a rating of 3.1 out of 10, whilst
Damn.
Netflix had to change their rating system entirely, which hit its 1.35 out of 5-star performance.
Imagine changing a whole rating system just for you. Holy shit.
Incredible. Like how Netflix had to remove their rating system because her special was so terrible.
The goods and the bads of this comedy special. We'll go ahead and start about what's good with it.
Okay.
That ends that segment. That about covers that.
Dave Chappelle's Netflix special, on the other hand, received a rating of 8.2 out of 10 on IMDb, whilst Chris Rock's received a less impressive but still superior rating of 6.6 out of 10.
I could see
Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock were ranked as number 9 and number 5 on Rolling Stone's top 50 comedians of all time, whilst the only list Amy Schumer seems to top is IMDb's top 10 worst comedians of all time. When Dave Chappelle went on Comedy Central all the way back in 2004, he'd receive a viewership of 3.1 million people.
That's
yet
pretty
when
big.
Amy Schumer
Hey,
went on Comedy
Gummy, how are
Central
you,
at the
man?
height
What's
of
up?
her popularity
Welcome
in
to the stream, bro.
2016, her viewership was less than 500,000. I'm truly cackling at the audacity of Amy Schumer thinking she deserved the same pay as Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle. Like, girl, what? So Amy Schumer wants Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle money, but haven't put in the years they put in. Talk about privilege and opportunity, shaking my head. Amy Schumer is maybe Josh Gad level. She's not as famous or endearing as Chris Rock. She's not a legend like Dave Chappelle. In case Amy Schumer complaining about being paid $11 million wasn't already dumb enough, it became even worse when her audience would discover that some of the jokes within her special might have been stolen from other comedians. Compilations began to pop up on YouTube such as these two, giving example after example of the ways in which Amy Schumer had stolen jokes from other comedians in the past.
Holy shit, so she's actually stealing jokes too. Okay.
Oh, that's perfect.
They can ring you up right over there.
Thanks so much.
Sure. Okay, I'm Bengi. If you need any other sizes, you please let me know, all right?
Okay.
There you go.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, how you doing?
Great.
All right, did somebody help you with this?
Okay.
Yeah, she's right over. Oh, she's not there. Did someone help you today? Yeah,
It's literally a copy frame by frame. Holy shit.
who was it?
It's literally a copy. Oh my
Okay.
god.
What did she look like?
She's dark hair.
It's literally a cop. Oh my
she was wearing a
god.
blazer.
I mean, it's kid from Key
yeah,
and
all
Peele
the
too.
girls
It's
are
like,
wearing
oh my
blazers.
god,
Do
dude.
you know what he looks like? Yeah.
It's literally a copy frame by frame. Holy shit. Okay.
like a.
Originality much? Oh
I
god
don't
damn,
know what
dude.
everyone who works here wore today.
If she had a favorite president, it would probably be Lincoln.
Are there any other distinguishing features? I would guess he probably voted for Obama. I know I did.
As these compilations began to pick up steam on
Okay.
YouTube, news article after news article was published calling Amy Schumer a joke thief, whilst others within the comedy space would come forward stating that Amy Schumer stealing jokes was discussed regularly behind the scenes. Twitter took the
I don't
exact
know,
same
man.
standpoint in posts
If you're a
such
comedian
as,
that
"Is it just
steals
me, or is
jokes, that
Amy
doesn't
Schumer
make you a
just not
comedian
that
then."
funny?" Despite the fact that she has a terrible personality and steals half her jokes, prompting
Damn,
Amy
that's
to
rough.
address the criticism in an Instagram post where she'd once again alleviate any personal responsibility by
That's
blaming
rough,
the
dude.
backlash on Reddit.
I don't really
Sweet
follow up with
misunderstood
celebrities.
geniuses in
Amy
the thousands
Schumer
of
isn't really a
subreddit chat
celebrity.
rooms.
She's more-
I've never
she's more of a
stolen
comedian,
joke in
if
my
you ask me.
life. Also going on the Jim
One
Dolan
of the
Advice
most
show
hated
before
comedians,
stating
to
the
be honest.
following.
And I'm so careful, and none of these things had ever reached me. And I will literally take a polygraph, and I just would never do that. Like, that would be so stupid.
I mean, you
for
could
me to
fix
do
a
that.
Amy
polygraph.
Schumer would eventually take a polygraph test for a Vanity
It's not
Fair
foolproof.
video,
You could
through which she was
literally take
asked
that.
about
Come on.
stealing
I fake
jokes.
that shit a
Coming
lot.
up with new material is difficult. Have you ever stolen a joke?
No.
Yes, she's telling the truth.
What about an idea for a sketch?
No.
An idea for a character?
No.
Okay.
Let me rephrase. Have you ever taken inspiration for a joke from somebody else?
No.
Yet the video is edited in a bizarre way where she says no before it fails to include whether or not she was telling the truth. The whole dilemma was certainly a point of debate. Yet
the thing is, like, you could easily fake polygraph tests, man. I mean, I've did it before.
Steve-O back in 2014, relating to the death of his friend Ryan Dunn.
It's not something you joke about, dude.
When he's not, it's for real. Imagine being such a buzzkill that you kill Steve-O's vibe. Amy Schumer doesn't understand the concept of dark humor. She's got the
you don't really joke with death, man. Holy shit.
Would eventually use this little zinger as an example that Amy Schumer was able to dish out harsh jokes, but was
that's a dick move. I agree.
What we're
like Amy Schumer doesn't have a dick, but she's a fucking dick,
by a
bro.
17-year-old movie critic who had posted a photo of himself with Amy Schumer, titled with a light-hearted comedic caption reading, "Spent the night with @Amy Schumer." Certainly not the first guy to write that, referring to Amy often talking about the different guys she's been with during her shows.
Okay.
So if Amy thought it was appropriate
she's a
to
fucking
joke
dick,
about
bro, and she doesn't even have one. Holy shit.
Surely she shouldn't have a problem with someone making a little comment about the amount of guys she's been with, especially considering it's basically all she talks about within her shows.
Agreed.
Well, Amy didn't take it all that lightly, replying to the 17-year-old fan by stating, "I get it, cause I'm a whore. Glad I took a photo with you. Hi to your dad." Others on Twitter would respond to what you might call Amy's inconsistent joke morals by stating, "That's the same type of joke Amy Schumer uses to keep her fame. Suddenly that humor is off limits now, huh? LOL." Others would support Amy Schumer in tweets stating, "Thank you @Amy Schumer for holding him accountable and not just blowing it off." Yet the discourse and contrast between these two different viewpoints really conclude how Amy Schumer became so hated. She used controversy and difference of opinion to grow her career whilst angering the entire world in the process.
That's kind of a dick move, man. At least if you're gonna be doing that, just be subtle and just go with one thing. If you're gonna joke about, like, for example, like you being a whore, at least when people try to comment on that, when people try to notify you of that, type of, behavior, at least just be happy about it and meme it. Go ahead and meme it too. Because that's what you should do. Like, because that's what you stand for. That is what people know you for. But if on the other hand, you're gonna be like, oh, those are like, things that I do not agree with, while you yourself are like, promoting them or doing them, I think that's kind of blasphemous. Like, I think that's kind of that's not really something that people would like, especially because that's just definitely so controversial of you. So definitely something that would like piss off a lot of people on that one. So I think it does actually explain a lot why Amy Schumer is hated. Like, even for me as an Asian dude who doesn't really know or who doesn't really get American comedy, like, even for me, I have never really understood why Amy Schumer was such a powerhouse in American comedy before. But now I kind of do get it. It's self-deprecating jokes are always funny. I do get that. But her fall was basically when she started stealing jokes, when she started doing, what do you call those? One-trick NSFW jokes that are not really that funny. Maybe it's funny if, like, for a certain specific niche of people, then yes, most likely not. And probably starting to attack her own audience. I think that's when you fuck up real bad, dude. You don't really fuck up the people who support you. But good video. Let's move on to the next one.